Hello, everyone, and welcome to our Microsoft Teams for Education 101 Using Teams in Class Meetings webinar event. If a couple of folks could just post in the Q&A really quick, make sure that you can hear me speaking. I want to make sure our audio is in line. I'm pretty sure that you can all see the Teams PowerPoint little screen that I have up there. All right, so some folks are saying they can't hear me. Okay, I can hear you now. All right, yeah, see, I don't want to get too far without folks being able to hear me. If you cannot hear me, well, me telling you is not going to help you very much now, is it? I hear, okay, great. Thank you very much for those who have said that they can hear. That's fantastic, very helpful to me to know that. I can now proceed. And I have a couple of test questions in there. So in case you missed the initial announcement in the Q&A, feel free to ask questions throughout this session. The one thing I will note is that I can't answer them live. I'm taking up an hour of your time. I want to be respectful of that. So what I'm going to do is if you ask questions throughout, I will swing back with you and answer them offline via an email. So please, if you do ask a question, make sure to include your name and your email address. That way, I can adequately respond to you and help you out. Because I am here to try and make you comfortable with Teams, and also to help answer other questions. And there will be follow-up sessions to this that are more targeted. This is a general Teams overview that we're going to do today of the key features that will help you engage with your students and get some of that classroom work done in as effective a way as possible. Some of the sessions that will follow this that will help get you to a more comfortable place with things like using class notebook and assignments and some video resources that are available to you that connect into Teams. We'll have some more targeted sessions in the next couple of weeks that we'll advertise out. So don't worry about that. Don't worry that you think, oh, this was too simple. This is going to help a lot of people, and some other people are going to think it's too simple, and all of that is totally okay. To answer the big burning question before I really get started is this is going to be recorded. The recordings will be posted in the Helping Teachers Teach Online Facebook group, as well as then broken down into separate segments that are shorter. So if you just want to learn more about the difference between Teams and Teams meetings, then you only have to watch that section if you'd like. So we're going to go ahead and get started and work through this topic, and I hope it's helpful for everyone. So before we do, I want to tell you a little bit about me. I have over 25 years experience in educational technology. I have worked in schools for most of my career, and I've done things from desktop support to system administration, and served as a director at several different schools, K through 12, and in higher education. I am a certified Microsoft Innovative Educator expert, as well as a Microsoft trainer, and I also hold a Microsoft Certified Systems Engineer certification, as well as a number of other certifications that aren't that important to you today. I am a Google Certified Educator, just so that you know, I know a little bit about both sides of the coin here. So hopefully this is super helpful to you, and I can help you get more comfortable with Teams. Here is what we're going to cover today. We're going to cover, and this is not going to be a PowerPoint thing. I'm going to get out of PowerPoint here in a minute. We're going to jump into Teams and show you these things. We're going to work on scheduling and working with student meetings. We're going to talk a little bit about the difference between teams, what a team is, and what a Teams meeting is. We are also going to talk about sharing and engagement within the meeting. So I'm going to start up a fake meeting, and we're going to go through some of the options that are in that meeting for you, and also how to bring things in and out of meetings. We'll talk a little bit about managing class meetings while you're in a meeting. That's a tough one to talk about live when you're in a meeting, but we'll cover some of the topics within that area. We're also going to talk about collaborating both in and out of the meetings with teams. So when we think about collaborating, we're talking about sharing specific resources. Maybe it's a Word document, maybe it's a PDF, maybe it's a YouTube video. So we're going to talk a little bit about different ways to do that. We are also going to talk about what that means in a synchronous and an asynchronous model a little bit. So if you share something in a meeting, how does that work for students who maybe aren't live in that meeting? And we're also, well, I just said that, we're going to talk about sharing resources in teams and meetings. So we will look specifically outside of meetings also at how we share resources in a team. So for example, if you create math for a 7th grade team, how you share all the resources that they're going to need to be successful. Maybe you use IXL, or maybe you use Nearpod, or I don't know. There's bunches of different mechanisms out there for you to do what you need to do. We're going to show you the basic way on how to share those things with everybody. So this, I won't spend much time on this. This is sponsored by edtechvirtualcio.com. That organization helps to bridge the gaps between educators and administrators and bring technology resources together when there isn't anyone in your school who currently does that. We also facilitate trainings and different resources that are available. You sign up for our mailing list. Everyone who has attended this is going to get an email follow-up from me that is going to include the link to our mailing list. It's going to include links to the live recordings and a link to the Facebook group. We try to communicate as much as we can between the Facebook group, because that's an easy way to get information in and out for folks. A lot of people on Facebook. And please share this information with your administrators. And we also do trainings on Office 365, so OneDrive, OneNote, all the online suite, Google G Suite, Teams, and we can do in-person classroom trainings. COVID-19 aside, we can do those live if necessary. So just a quick note before I jump any further in, I want to tell you that we have over 1,000 people on this webinar watching today. So those Facebook groups and posts, very powerful things to get people together. All right, well, I've talked enough about what we're doing today and who I am. It's 12:08, so I'm already a few minutes behind where I want to be. So we're going to get on to the instruction. And to do that, I do need to do a little bit of fanciness on my side, and that is to bring up the correct Teams screen that I need you all to see. And to do that, will just take me 1 second to share with you what I need you to see. So bear with me while I switch between screens with what I'm sharing. And I am almost there. And all right, so you all should see my screen that shows general schedule live class session. And you are seeing a Teams implementation that we have at the college. And this particular team, let me open the team here, and you're going to need to see this part. So you can see I'm a big Star Trek fan. I do a lot of my demonstrations with Star Trek stuff. So this is Starfleet Basic Training Team. We want to talk for a moment about the difference between a team and a Teams meeting. A Teams meeting is something that most of you are probably very familiar with. If you've ever been on a Zoom call, if you've ever been in a GoToMeeting or a WebEx, a Teams meeting is very much like that. It is one person who's facilitating the gathering of many people so you can share video, audio, desktop, or go over a particular topic at one time. A team, like you see on your screen now, is something that allows you to bring together people, resources, and information in a way that doesn't come and go like a meeting does. So if you're in a Zoom meeting, when that meeting's over, the meeting's over and everything's gone. In a Teams meeting, in Teams, everything in the team stays. So you can see here, I use this team, the Starfleet Basic Training team, to demonstrate lots of different things for folks. So you can see here, I've demonstrated a live class session, I've demonstrated a stream video and different things. And you see I'm demonstrating an assignment here. So all of these resources stay here and allow people to come back to them if they need to. And that's a very powerful thing. When we look at the difference between a Teams meeting and Teams, most of you are likely to be either setting up or being given teams that your students are going to be members of, and you're going to be an owner of, or a teacher, depending on what kind of team is set up. And we're going to talk about a class team here in a minute. And that will allow you to provide these resources to your students. You can see across the top, I've got posts, files, class notebook, assignments, grades, and insights, because this is a class team, and I'm going to talk more about that in a second, what that looks like and what that is. Now, if you are creating the team, or if your organization is creating that team for you, they may create a simple team, and a simple team is only going to have posts and files in it, and then you will have this plus sign here to add different tabs. There are several different types of teams that can be created, and I'm not going to cover all of them today. I'm really just going to talk about the class team. The one other thing I'd like to mention before I move on to what a class team is and how it functions is that if you have students who have different devices, and we all do, but if you have students that are using iOS or Android for their tablet or their phone, or on some other level of Chromebook, but Chromebooks use the web browser version, so that's even slightly different. Those tablet versions are going to have different features than you're going to have in your application-based version. So you can see here, I'm in the application, not the web browser. The way you can easily tell the difference between being in the Teams downloaded and installed client application is on the left side, where right near where it says Teams, above that, there's just purple. And on the right, you can see my organizations. And you can see if I drop this down, I'm a member of several organizations here in this particular instance that I have installed. If you are in the web browser version, your organization is going to be, it's going to say Microsoft, oops, I'm moving it around. They didn't mean to do that. It's going to say Microsoft Teams right here instead of being blank. And your organization is going to be smaller here. That's a really quick and easy way to tell, am I in the web browser version or am I in the client version? The tablet versions, the mobile device versions, not tablet versions, are going to look different than this because they are made to be sized to that screen that the device is on. Now, when we talk a little bit about features, you're going to find that the iOS and Android versions for mobile devices aren't going to have all the same features that you have. So for example, you can put a background behind you. Not every mobile device version is going to be able to do that. They can all blur their background, but they can't put something that makes them look like they're at the beach or something like that. So just keep that in mind. If you hear from a student that says, well, Miss So-and-so, I see you have the picture of the classroom in the background, how do I get that? They may not be able to do that if they're on a mobile device. I mentioned a little bit about Chromebooks and web browsers. The features that your students are going to have in Teams, if they're in a web browser, are going to be dependent on the operating system that is running on. So that's super important to note, because if you have Macs in your environment, or your students are using Macs, and that Mac is running, say, Mac OS 10.12 or 10.13, there may be some features that aren't going to work in the web browser the same way they're going to work in the downloaded client because the operating system or the web browser may be limiting that functionality. And we also recommend in our organization that folks always use Google Chrome or Microsoft Edge, the new Microsoft Edge that's built on the Chromium base, if you are using Teams in a web browser. That gives you the best possible experience. So let's talk a little bit about what a class team is. A class team is a special type of team that is specifically made for education and classes. There are other types of teams. You can make a team for staff. You can make a team for a private learning community. You can make a team with generic 2 tabs on it. But the class team is made specifically for education. And this includes the ability, the tabs you see here, class notebook, assignments, and grades. You also have the ability to add education-specific tabs such as insights. So I'm going to go over these real quick to give you an idea of what's in them. You can see the posts, and these tabs only exist in the general channel. So if I cruise over to using your Phaser 101, you can see my tabs across the top have changed. I have posts, files, and notes, and that's the generic set of tabs that you get. If I come back to general, I get my files, class notebook, assignments, grades, and insights back. Now you may be saying, why do I have to drop down to see those? That is my particular system that I'm using to demo. You may see them all the way across depending on how large your screen is. Additionally, before I go through these, you can click the plus button to add a tab, and you can see all of these different applications that you can use within your channel. So these are all channel specific. So if I add an Excel document here, which I can do, it's only in this channel. It does not go in every channel. So you want to keep that in mind. So when you're thinking to yourself, I want to share resources, how do I do it best? You want to think about what channel you're in, and we'll get more into that when we get into the resources themselves. If I click on files, you can see that this is going to open up a listing of different folders, and I only have one in here at the moment, the class materials folder, and you can see I put a Word document in here as an example. But within this files tab, and every channel has one, and every team has files, I can drop down, click new, here's folder, or I can automatically create a Microsoft type document. Now you can put anything you want in here. You don't have to only have Microsoft documents in here. You could put PDFs in here. You can put videos in here. Any type of a file type will do. And additionally, to make it more interesting, you can drag and drop just to upload it that easily. You can see it uploaded it, and the sample report shows up there. If you made a mistake, I can click the 3 dots, which we call the action menu, and you can see I can open this. I can copy a link to it, which allows me to send that link to anyone who has access to this team to view this file. I can download it, delete it, pin it to the top so it doesn't get lost. I can rename it. I can open it in SharePoint, which is a totally different discussion. I can move it somewhere else in my team's infrastructure. So what that means is I can move that to a different team or a different channel within a team. I can copy it somewhere, or I can check it out. So what that does for me, if I click on check it out, that allows me to work live in collaboration. Again, and I'm going to talk about that when we get to collaborating in class meetings and teams. So moving on to Class Notebook, lots and lots of questions that go on Facebook about Class Notebook, and this isn't going to cover all the ins and outs of Class Notebook today. But what Class Notebook is it is a team-specific version of OneNote that has preset sections for you and your students to work in. So you can see I have these sample students set up in my in my team, and you can see they all have their own separate notebook spaces. I also have a collaboration space and a content library. Collaboration space is something that everyone should have access to in your team. And if you click, you can see it's going to show me where it's going to tell me about the collaboration space. And you should have this in your class team as well, where it helps you, kind of get used to how to use the collaboration space as opposed to the content library, which is used to store your content. You can see here, I've put a couple of sample assignments in my content library to use in assignments here. And you can see here, I will click on this, on Catherine's section. These are areas where Catherine can have her homework, her quizzes. You can see I've assigned assignment 1 to Catherine, and she has not yet filled it out. Actually, let me cruise down the Jean-Luc Picard. I know that Jean-Luc has done his homework. If I cruise down here, this is one place I can see Jean-Luc's homework. So I know that it's a little small, but you can see that I've put a PDF in, and Jean-Luc has answered here. This is a great resource for presentations. Connection tested, room setup. Additionally, if I go to assignment 01, which is a very simple assignment, Jean-Luc has filled in his name and how many cats does he own. He said that he doesn't have any, but Data has one. Now, to contrast this real quick, I can come back to my content library and look, this is that assignment that's blank. And when I get over to assignments, I'm going to show you how that works real quick. So that is a quick overview of the class notebook. If we come over to assignments, I have a couple of assignments that I have assigned out as samples. If I come over to here, you can see I've graded some assignments as well. Now, if I want to create an assignment, I click Create. I can create an assignment from an existing one that already exists, or I can create a new one. To create a new assignment, I click there. I give it a test assignment name. I can fill out my instructions here. And you can add all sorts of different instructions here. You can see you have bold, italics, highlighting. You've got some tools to work with, including a link. So if you have a link to the assignments here, when I click Add Resources, I now have a lot of different things I can choose from. I can upload something from my OneDrive. I can go to my class notebook or a link to the assignment if I have the assignment somewhere else. A huge question that we get lots and lots of times on Facebook is, I have Google Slides, or I have this in Google, or I have this over in this area. Here's where you can create a link to that external resource. The caveat is that when you do that from an external resource, you can't have an individualized assignment. Then it's a shared assignment, which you might want to do. I can also upload it from this device, but I'm going to select Class Notebook to show you real quick. You can see I can come in my collaboration space or my content library. I have it under using content library for one reason or another, and I can assign this assignment. And there I go. I've attached it to this assignment. I can pick where I want it to live, and these are predefined sections that I set up before. This is going to be, I'm going to make this a quiz for fun and hit done. It's an assignment that's in the quiz section. I know, complicated, but we do that plenty as we teach. I can assign a certain point level to it. If I have a rubric pre-created, I can add it, or I can click Add Rubric, and I can create a new rubric from here. I'm not going to cover rubrics today. It's a little more complicated than we can cover today. Who do I assign it to? Do I assign it to everyone or just certain students? So think about this, that you can not assign it to everyone if you choose to. I'm going to assign it to all students. I can set the due date. I'm going to say it's due next Friday by midnight. And I'm also going to post it to the general channel so everybody sees it. When I click Assign, it does its magic. It adds it here. And also, if I come over to the posts, oh, but didn't do it fast enough. Oh, there it is. And there you can see the assignment is there. It takes a second sometimes. So that's a quick assignments. And if I cruise over to the grades, here are all of my students. And you can see I've already graded a couple in a sample. But as students turn in their assignments, they show up in these blocks. If there's no block here, I have not assigned that assignment to that student. But for example, I assigned this short form to Jean-Luc Picard. I'm going to open the student work. Normally you would see a button here that says grade work. But if I open this, it's going to show me Jean-Luc's work on this assignment. I can see this is the assignment. I can give feedback. Great work. Here's my grade. I already gave him 10 out of 10. And I hit return. And now Jean-Luc gets a notification that says the teacher has graded your work. Click here to see it. I mentioned about classes or class teams having the ability to add specific types of tabs. Insights is one of those third-party tabs, or it's not third parties, third party to your team that you need to add if you like it. If I click on Insights, if I add Insights to my team, and I'll show you how to do that in just a second, I get some deep down statistics on what my students are doing and when, and how much they're doing. Today, I'm going to go back 30 days because there's been activity in 30 days. And you can see Jean-Luc was in on August 3rd. And if I click on that, I can see exactly when he was in, and I can see what he did. He viewed assignments, he turned in an assignment, he edited a file here. So you can see a good amount of information as to what your students are doing with this Insights tab, and it's free. There's no charge for it. The way you would work with that is you're going to click the plus button. You're going to type in Insights, and there it is. You click on it to add it. I'm going to add a different item to show you how this works. So you see, let's see, what's the easiest thing to work with? I am going to add a form. Now, when you click forms, forms are an easy way to get feedback from students, parents, whomever you want that's in the class. And you can add a form that you want them to fill out or just one that you want them to see. I'm going to be quick about it and add an existing form. You can see I have lots of different forms here that I've used over the years, and I am just going to pick this one. And you can create workflows. You can have it just show results. I'm going to have it collect responses. Well, I can't do that. I'm sorry. I'm going to have to show results on this one because I had an end date on that. Let me find one that I don't have an end date on. So let us go. Let's go to this one. I don't believe there's an end date on this one. So I'm going to collect responses, and hopefully there's not an end date on that one. We're going to hit save. And so now you can see, here we go. Phil, I can come in here, I can rename it, and I can say web developer checklist. And I've added that tab, and this is directly accessible to everyone in my team or class that has access within the general channel, which by default, everyone who's part of the team has access to the general channel. And anyone can fill this out, hit submit, and it gets collected in my forms collection. So that is outside of the team. When we talk about forms, that's in your office.com dashboard. But it is one way you can use to collect data, and it's a way you can use to collect data that may or may not be outside your assignments too. You can use these in assignments if you'd like to. All right, so I think we've covered most of what I wanted to cover in a Teams class team for today. Let's talk a little bit about scheduling meetings. There are multiple ways to schedule your meetings. There's a lot of questions I see on Facebook about how do I schedule a meeting? How do I best get my students to attend meetings, recurring meetings, lots of different questions. You can schedule meetings through Teams, Outlook calendar. Sometimes your learning management system will have a direct integration to that. So for example, if you use Canvas, Canvas is an LTI that integrates directly into Teams. Or you can have immediate ad hoc meetings. I'm going to show you the Teams calendar meeting, and then you can work from there. I'm not going to show you the Outlook calendar meeting today because it's something that's being installed and your organization may or may not have done it. And from a Teams perspective, the Teams calendar is more powerful than the Outlook calendar. From an Outlook calendar perspective, it's just the opposite. In Teams, you should have a calendar here on the left. If you do not, that means you don't have an Office 365 full subscription, you're just using Teams. And that's a distinction that's made by your IT department and your administration. If you go into calendar, you see I have lots and lots going on as usual. But if I want to schedule a meeting, I click where I want to schedule the meeting, and I have the basics. And I can say class meeting, and then I can invite people if I'd like or not. That is up to you. If you want to include all of your student email addresses or names in here, so you can include Jean-Luc. I can include Severus Snape if I type it properly to this, and all the rest of my students. Now, if you have a group set up, you can also invite a group here. And in my case, I will, oh, what's the name of that group? I don't remember the name of the group now. That's bad on me. I don't remember the name of the group, but if you knew the name of the group, you can invite them here too. One of the real upsides to using the Outlook plugin, if you have access to it, is that the Outlook plugin allows you to invite contact lists, which you can't do from here. You can see I've set the date and the time, and I've set it for 30 minutes, but let's say my classes are not 30 minutes. Whose classes are 30 minutes? I can set it to 6:20 because I have a 50-minute class block. I can set it to repeat weekly on this time because this is when I have this class, or I can set it to every weekday, Monday through Friday. And here's the big one, I can set it in my channel. So if I come down to Starfleet Basic Training, and this is part of my Using Phaser 101, I want to point something out really quick. You're going to notice there's only two channels here, General and Using Your Phaser 101. There is a third channel for fencing. That is a private channel, and you cannot schedule meetings in that channel from here, but I'll show you how to do that too. Using Your Phaser 101 is our daily class meeting. Attendance is mandatory, and I hit send. So you can see it's going to create them in my calendar. More importantly, those who I invited are getting invitations to it now. And if I go back to my Using Your Phaser 101, there's my class meeting. It's there, it's in the channel. Anyone who has access to this channel will always have that meeting right there. And that is super important because it reduces the trouble that your students are going to have finding their live class meetings. I mentioned to you that only puts the meeting in a public channel, and you can see I have I'm sorry, I said it was fencing. Away Missions for Beginners, which is a private channel. So this could be a breakout group for smaller groups within your class. It could be a science project that you've broken students up and you don't want other students to see what's going on with the students in the group until you're ready to present those projects, and that's fine. So what I do instead of adding the team, I can come back into my class meeting, and you can see that I've joined Teams meeting here. If I right click on that, I get a link. I can copy that link. I can navigate back to Teams. And here's my private group. I can post in the Teams meeting, and you can see I've hit this A, which allows the compose box to expand and for you to be more expressive in how you are posting in the meeting. So you can say this is daily class meeting. Here to join. And we will. Did not type that right at all, did I? We'll let spell check fix that for us. And then I will highlight. I'll drop down the action. I'll click link. I'll paste that link I just copied out of my calendar. And there you go. I can even make it easier to see. I'll do bold. And you know what? I really think they're not going to get this attendance is mandatory thing. So I am going to be even fancier and highlight it. So I have created this post. There's the link. Students come here and click. You can see it looks a little different, but this is how you would do it in a private channel. So you get more or less the same effect. It looks different, but that class meeting is still going to be every day that you have it scheduled for that link. No problem. They're going to go in and they're going to find you there doing great things. Another way to do this, and this is a good opportunity to show you the posting mechanism, is I have new conversation here. If I drop this down, I can make it an announcement. What's the difference? I get a headline. That's the difference. I can make it different colors. I can put backgrounds on it. I can choose the built-in illustration, which I'll do just for fun here to show you what it looks like there, or I can upload my own. Now there's a specific type of, not type, but size image you need to use. If you go out and you search on Google or Bing, Microsoft Teams announcement banners, lots of people are making these, and they're making really neat ones out there. So go on and look for that if that interests you. You can attach files to this, and I can get them from a Teams channel. So let's say that I want, oh, there's nothing in my Teams channel. My mistake there. I'll do it in a different channel to illustrate it for you in a second. You can do the little GIFs like you do on Facebook. You can do smiley faces. You can do all sorts of things in these channels. You can see you got a little announcement guy up here, as well as it being much easier to see now. I'm going to go back into a public channel and illustrate for you how these channels work. We're going to using your Phaser 101. So you can see we have that meeting that we posted here. Across the bottom, I've got several different things I can do in my post. I mentioned this formatting where we can create a post that way. I can attach a file. If I can do browse teams or channels, let's navigate up and go into general. And I'm going to attach that sample report again. Now I can put a link or upload a copy into this channel because I'm in a different channel now. I'm going to share a link, and you can see there, here is the report for tomorrow's class. That is one way to share a resource for everyone right out of the gate there. And you can see it tells us where it is, tells us what it is. I can open this online, I can download it or get a link. Notice that whenever I click on the different action items, whether it's here, whether I go back to general and I can click here, I go into class materials in this Word document, I can get a link. Oops, there it is, sorry. I can get a link to any of these things. I hit copy link, it shows me the link. If I hit copy, I can now put that in an email. I can put it in a Teams post. Please read the manual. And there's that link, but I don't like that. That's an ugly link. Nobody likes to have a big ugly link like that. I can say access manual here. And I can highlight it. I do need to open the editor to do a link, as I showed you a few minutes ago. Highlight that. And I can say link, and I post. I paste, and there's that link. While we're in here, I'll take a minute to show you around this a little bit now that I'm in a general channel. We already saw the difference between a conversation and an announcement. What I didn't show you is the reply settings. So I can set this, if I want to make this an announcement, tomorrow's manual, important, and we will make it stand out and make it red. And I don't want anyone to reply to this. This is just an announcement. Don't need a discussion about it. Only myself and other teachers or owners of this team can reply to this. No one else. And let's say I only want to do this once. I don't want to do it for every channel. I can select the channels that are in any team. And I'm going to scroll down to this one. I could post it across teams though, as you can see, or in every channel that I have in this team. So if I'm teaching 7th grade, let's say, and I have language arts, I have a science, I have a math, I have music, let's say, and I have all of those created, and I need to make the same announcement to all of them. Once I do this, once I click here, boom, it posts to all of them. And you can see this little indicator that shows where we've posted that. Whereas the assignment up here, for example, it doesn't show any of that or any of these other posts that I've done. And when I click on even away missions, which is the private channel, it's still in there. So this is useful in that one scenario, 7th grade across different things, but maybe you are in high school, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th grade, and you need all of your students you teach English literature, and you need all of your sections to get the same information. You can have it in your team, you can have that distributed across teams so that if you have a team for each section, so if your school has school data sync set up and you create a team for every class that you have that you teach, you can easily distribute this information to English Lit 101-01, 02, 03, and so on. So that is an easy way to work with and share information throughout that. But let's talk about, we've talked a little bit about sharing information, and we've talked about how assignments work, but let's take a minute and let's talk about being in a meeting. I'm going to start what we call an ad hoc meeting. It means I want to meet right this minute. I can do that by coming up here and clicking meet. See the little camera icon? Now, some of you, depending on your licensing in Office and with Teams, you may still have it down here at the bottom, the little camera. If you do, that's okay. Nothing to worry about there. But I'm going to click meet because I want to start a meeting, and you can see me over here now. See, there I am. And I'm going to put test meeting, or how about today class. And I'm going to hit meet now. And now I've got a meeting. I mean, I'm the only one in it, but that's okay. So in my meeting, the participant pane comes up automatically because I started the meeting, and Jean-Luc's not in the meeting yet, but that's okay. And I am muted because you can't hear me talk over there anyway. From the left to the right, we have a camera, so I can turn it on and off. I can mute myself here. This is the share drawer, if you don't already know that. This is the action items menu. This is where you can go to raise your hand. This is the chat window. And this is the people or participants pane. I'm going to stay in the participants pane for a second because up here, I want to show you the options you have here. You can manage permissions. So if I wanted to click here, and that would bring up a window that would allow me in Teams to change the meeting options. So we're going to wait a second for that to load. It is, oh, it's going to want me to sign in. Goodness. Okay, well, I won't show you that then. What that allows you to do is manage the options that you have for people to bypass the lobby, for people who can present. So you can set it so only you can present or so everyone can present. It doesn't really matter how you want to do it. And it also manages, it's going to continue to manage more things as Microsoft rolls out new features. Right now, if I had other people in the meeting, I would have a little drop down to download an attendance list. I don't, so I can't show you that. One of the things that Microsoft is working on and should have rolled out within the next month or so is the ability to download attendance lists after the meeting. They do not have that currently ready to go. But right now, only in the meeting can you download the attendance list. I mentioned, so here's the chat pane, which hopefully you are familiar with. This allows for live chat in the meeting, so I can type anything I want in there. And now I've got a text-based chat to go along with this. And what that allows you to do in a Teams meeting, as opposed to a Teams live event, which is what you're in now watching me, have a live interactive discussion with folks that are in the meeting right now. So if I had someone helping me, which for some reason today they couldn't make it. If I had someone helping me, they could be monitoring a chat and be having a discussion live. In this chat, it's good to note that I also can change the formatting. Very similar to the way I do it in a Teams channel. So you can see I can bold it, I can make it different colors. You know, like I said, very similar to the way we did it before. I can also drop down the actions and I can change all of the things that you can change in a Teams post. I can add quotes, I can put a link in. So if I wanted to, for example, post a link to a YouTube or go to a YouTube video, I could post that link here for everyone to say, okay, go watch this video and come back when you're done. I can insert tables. I can mark it as important. I want to show that to you. This works the same way in Teams channels. You can see I have a little asterisk right there that makes people maybe pay attention more. I can also tag people. So Jean-Luc isn't here, but I can say, are you coming to class? And if I post this here, Jean-Luc's going to get a pop-up on his Teams meeting saying that I've sent him a message and he'll have to respond. Maybe he can come to class, whatever it might be. I can also use this. If I close this and I come over to my action items, which we haven't gotten to, but I can go to show to meeting details. I can copy the join information. I can come back to the chat, and I know that Jean-Luc wants to come, but he can't find how to get there. I can tag him. Here is the information to join. And I paste it. And now, again, Jean-Luc's going to get an announcement in his Teams that shows him this information. If Jean-Luc isn't in Teams right now, that's okay, because in a few minutes, he's also going to get an email that has the same information in it to help him connect to this Teams meeting. We have the raise your hand feature, which is nifty. I don't know if I can show you that. It might not show up. You can see there it is. You can see I've raised my hand and then I clicked on it and put it down. If you have cameras set up, not cameras, if you have other people in your meeting with cameras, when they raise their hand, you see it right next to their name on the screen. The action items, I'll get it right, menu shows you as the organizer your device settings, meeting details, which I displayed before. You can make this a full screen meeting if you'd like, which gets rid of Teams on the left. You get show background effects, which I mentioned a little earlier. You can blur your screen. You can add pictures to your background. If you've ever been to Zoom, it's very similar. You can turn on live captions. Now, this is a specific user setting. So for example, if I turn on live captions, it's only for me. Nobody else sees it. They can turn on their live captions. Keypad, if you have a dial-in plan in your Teams implementation. End meeting, and then there's the hang up. So if you're in a meeting and I hang up, everybody else stays in the meeting. If I'm an organizer and I click end meeting, the meeting ends for everybody. So that's the difference. This ends the meeting for everybody versus I just left the meeting. This shouldn't probably be called hang up. It should probably be called leave meeting. In the new meeting experience, that is what it says. It says leave meeting. Turn off incoming video. This is handy because that helps preserve bandwidth if you have people who are having bandwidth issues. Next we have, let me close this so you can get a better view. We have the share drawer. So I click share, it comes up from the bottom. I can share my entire desktop. I can share just one window. So you can see here. So let me go ahead and open Edge. And come back to Teams. And if I drop this puppy down and bring it back up, it's going to register that I now have Edge open. If I want to share just Edge and not my entire screen, I can do that. If I want to upload a PowerPoint, I can upload a PowerPoint to show it. I can also do a whiteboard with Microsoft's built-in whiteboard, or I can use Freehand by InVision, which I have installed, which is a more feature-rich whiteboard that works within Teams. If you wanted to use something like the Microsoft Whiteboard application, which I highly recommend, and we'll have a session on using that because you can share those out and be interactive live with them. That would be a sharing of your screen, not this whiteboard. They're two different things. All right, so we've talked a little bit about sharing. We've talked about how to share details with students here in the chat. If I wanted to share an item with them that we want to work on together, I can do browse Teams channels. There's nothing in this channel, so that's okay. I think everything I have is in general, so we'll just come into here, class materials, and I'm going to share a link to this. And so you're going to ask, I'm going to say, let's collaborate on this. And I'm going to share that. And now when someone clicks on the link, they're going to open that up. And I did it that way because what that allows them to do is open up that shared version of it in Teams, as opposed to download their own personal version. Now, if you want them to download their own personal version, you could just upload the file itself. But that allows you then to have this. And when I click on this, it's going to open this up, and I'm still, and you can see I have today's class. I'm still in my meeting, but now I've got this document and I'm in the meeting. If all of my students have done this too, we are all in this document, and they've upgraded a little bit. If I click conversation, you can see I've already shown this to some people, and you can see that the chat is right here in my document, which is a really cool thing, because I can come in here and write section 01, and everyone, whoops, didn't get the 01. And everyone is going to see that change that I just made. And I can say, please, I can say, Jean-Luc, let's assume he's here for argument's sake, fill in section 01 for us. I can also say, just like I said it to you, and he's going to hear me. So that's fine. But this is a way to continually work on things. And when you're in a meeting, if you have everyone's microphone muted, they can talk in that chat channel right here in the document and collaborate live right there in the document. So yes, this type of collaboration only works in Microsoft applications. So if I open a PDF, for example, I don't have that side collaboration. But you can still do it and you can still actively open them. And that is a way you can share things within the meetings. So that we've kind of covered most of being in a meeting and collaborating within a meeting. I've showed you how to send a link and share documents and working live on the documents. So let's take a few minutes. I realize we're running up on an hour here. And I see there are bunches of questions in the Q&A, and that is awesome. I certainly like that. Let me close out of the meeting, go back to my team. You can see I hit end and end meeting. And you can see here the class session started. It's going to make me rate the quality. I thought it was pretty all right. Microsoft likes it. The one thing I'll note is they do get that feedback when you fill it out. And when you see the help or you see anything that offers you the ability to give Microsoft feedback, Microsoft themselves will encourage you very much to do that because they make a lot of the enhancements in Teams based on the suggestions that we as users make. And I work very closely with a lot of the folks at Microsoft, and they communicate that they take that very seriously. So within Teams, we talked a little bit about these files. We showed how to share some links within the files. One of the things that we didn't talk too much about, and I'm going to go back to this general channel, is working in here. So you saw me in the meeting working in this Word document, but you didn't see me work in it any other way. If I click the action menu, I showed you before I've got all of these different options, and I showed you how to copy the link and paste it into the channel. But I can also from right here say, all right, we're going to work on this. This is our project for this week. I'm going to make it a tab. Boom. I clicked on make it a tab, and there it is. And what that allows you to do is everyone can come right there and click on that tab. And here's the file. Here's the change I made before. Jean-Luc is filling this out, and it just saves it. If I come back to that document here, I come down, I can pin it to the top, I can rename it. We covered a lot of that before. What I want to show you is the open menu. I can open this in Word Online, which opens it in Microsoft Word in a web browser. I can open this in Word if I have it installed on my computer. It will download it and put it in my Word program. And what's nice about doing that is once you've done that, you can access it from Word directly. You don't have to go back into Teams directly to access it. So you can collaborate actively within Word on that document. I can also edit in Teams, which is the default. When I click on it, it only edits it in Teams. So if I click on Open Word Online, which is what I'll show you real quick. It's going to make me sign in, so let's do that real quick. And once we've done that, you can now see that I have this in a little bit more fully featured version of Microsoft Word. And it looks very much like Word in Teams. And you can see the changes that I made there. These are comments that are specific to the file. So if I make comments in here, it'll save it to the file for when it's open next. It's not the chat window. So there's a difference there. That we saw when we did in the meeting, we had that chat window. Okay, we don't have that here. Instead, we have the running comments. Some folks ask a lot about the difference between OneNote and Class Notebook and OneNote for Windows. I'm not going to spend a ton of time on it, but real quick before we wrap up, I do want to say that they're different products. When we look at OneNote, so here's OneNote, and in here, but I do not have it set up, but that's okay. We're going to go in, and because what I want to show you is that this is OneNote for Windows 10. And you can see as it opens up, all sorts of different things within my notebook. And it looks very similar to when I go into Class Notebook, but they are two different products. You can take things from Windows 10 Notebook and put them into your team, but those are not then individualized students. When you work in Class Notebook and you assign something through Class Notebook, that is then individualized to the student, so they have their own version of the notebook to work in, and that allows them to work individually and give you specific answers based on what you're asking of them, not as a collaborative measure. So I want to thank you for coming. I really appreciate your time today. It's 1:01 p.m. I'm trying to keep to that hour. So I really appreciate your time today. Please continue to put messages in the live Q&A. I will answer them over the next few days and send you all emails with the location to the recording and the Facebook group. And I hope to see you all on the next live event. Thanks so much for coming. Have a great afternoon and a great weekend.